Now let's talk about Harry and Meghan. Meghan Markle's plans to produce a film adaptation of Carly Fortune's hit romance novel, Meet Me at the Lake. Well, that's now on ice after Netflix decided not to renew its $100 million.
OMG. So for a while, people were saying Meghan Markle and Netflix were not doing great. Like her big show flopped and Netflix kept delaying renewal talks. But now a messy behind-the-scenes video came out, showing her in a raw, unfiltered, and kinda hostile way, a side Netflix never expected.
This is a big blow for Meghan. This was a serious project.
Yeah, a Hollywood insider says we're 2 years into Netflix and Meghan securing the rights to make this movie, and there's no director, no casting calls, no cast. The writer's strike has come and gone.
And this could totally snap the last tiny thread, keeping her and Netflix together, like the video is from raw footage of her Netflix series. Not some fancy PR thing, just unedited stuff for internal use only, but somehow a copy slipped out and ended up with people way outside Meghan's close circle.
And while Meet Me at the Lake seems to be DOA, Meghan's camp is leaking stories that she's not done yet fighting to stay on with Netflix. In a desperate bid, they claim she is still in the midst of negotiations. So with love, Meghan, season 52 here.
It showed a Meghan Markle totally different from the sweet and calm image she gives in interviews. Like insiders say, she kept cutting producers off, brushing off ideas without even thinking, and even rolled her eyes and mumbled about amateurs running her set with this sharp tone, tense vibe, and acting like she did not want to share control at all.
This is something that you and I discuss all the time. We're like, oh, the royals have something important coming up. Here comes Harry and Meghan to hijack the headlines. It's believed that although he won't go so far as to let Prince William manage his schedule,
okay, sometimes stuff like this could be seen as just creative disagreements. But the real tea is, Netflix has been hearing the same complaints about her since day one of her deal, and now this video just proves it. And apparently one of the most shocking parts happens during a quick filming break.
If you watch it again, you'll never see it the same way. And I felt the same way about this, where the music was doing all the heavy lifting.
Who sings sugar, sugar?
Oh yeah, Lemon Spoonful or something?
And she was like, cue the lemon head, whoever it was. She's like, cue the platters. I can't remember, forgive me. But then in comes the music. Well,
so Meghan is sitting with a stylist and a coordinator, looking super annoyed, and she's caught on a live mic saying, this is not their vision, it's mine, and they just have to follow, which totally goes against Netflix calling her project a teen thing, and makes her look not so teen-friendly, and in an industry where working together is everything that's a huge red flag. Plus, the timing is the worst because her show was already getting way fewer views than Netflix wanted.
Lifting the sugar. Your point about Mindy being like, no, but the person I hire does. Now, okay. Even I do not hire anybody to do my kids' birthdays, and I have very few domestic bones in my body. The most I will hire is somebody to blow up like a bouncy castle or whatever.
It's a professional thing. You need someone to do that.
I don't know how to.
So Netflix big bosses already paused any talk about renew because instead of being this huge global hit, the show just turned into a small niche thing. And while her name made people curious at first, the numbers showed viewers dropped off fast, meaning the content didn't click. And they were already wondering if she was worth the big money. But now with this leaked video, the talk has apparently gone from should we keep her to how fast can we end this without getting into legal drama.
Yeah, and Doug's not handy. Handsy, but not handy. Anyway, so you made this point in one of your articles on the Daily Mail, and I was like, that's exactly it. That's the moment you know who this show is for. Mm-hmm. Because I was watching the whole thing like, who is this for? Mm-hmm. Who is this appealing? And you said it's...
One exec straight up said the deal was already barely hanging on, and this video could be the pull the plug moment, and people from the crew told others the vibe on set was tense and not very friendly with morale dropping over time. And while some blamed the pressure and deadlines, others said Meghan's perfectionism often turned into being super inflexible, and now the leaked footage seems to prove it, showing her getting openly frustrated, cutting people off, and looking annoyed whenever things didn't match her vision. And the worst part for her is how Netflix stands in the public image game.
The 1% who was like, yes, my person does all of this. Or I was talking about this with my hairstylist, Sarah, and a friend of hers who came over. Well, I was watching some of this, and they were both saying, I'm like, maybe the women in this town like will produce a birthday party like that.
Netflix loves keeping good vibes with its stars, but it also protects its image like crazy. And having a show led by someone who in leaked clips looks like she treats her team badly is not a risk they want, especially when the money isn't worth the stress. And now Meghan's team is in full panic trying to find who leaked it and if they can shut it down. But people close to it say once the big bosses see something bad, the damage is done, and with leaks spreading faster than any fix, the chance of stopping it is tiny. Plus, this isn't even the first time she's been called difficult with staff, since similar stuff came out back in the UK, which she denied. But now with this video, people are like seeing is believing.
She's big into these crudité boards, veggie, and or fruit. And this was one of the most every mother out there will understand. She wants us to put together a fruit crudité board for our children.
When you have a video, it's not just her word against theirs anymore. It's right there in front of you. And honestly, the way Netflix seems to be moving says a whole lot, like they are keeping quiet in public. But behind closed doors, insiders are saying the talks about ending her deal went from slow and cautious to super fast and intense. The moment that footage showed up, and think about it, this is the same company that once threw a massive 9-figure deal at the whole Sussex brand. So for them to shift gears like this is kind of shocking. One source even said, "This is absolutely not the Meghan they thought they were buying into." And apparently the hours right after the top bosses watched the leaked video were being called the point of no return by people inside Netflix. The reaction was instant. They didn't waste a second before pulling the senior decision makers into an emergency meeting to pick apart the damage, figure out what this meant for their future with her, and the mood in that room was apparently heavy serious, and for Meghan extremely worrying.
Do this big thing. You can just do it like a single plate style. That alone, with all I just said, with cutting and buying and cleaning and chopping, would be probably an hour. My warning is like, here is a piece of toast. I am Martha Stewart. You're welcome.
And it wasn't just about the deal they already had with her, but also about how keeping her could mess with Netflix's long-term image. And people who know what went down in that meeting said the mood was anything but sympathetic, like the execs weren't only shocked by what they saw, but by how perfectly it matched the complaints they had been hearing from crew members for months. So this wasn't some random one-time thing. It was a whole pattern now caught on camera in a way no one could deny. And one top person in the room basically summed it up by saying, "We've been told for months, and now we've seen it ourselves." And from there, the talk flipped straight to the practical stuff. Like, how fast can we end this without breaking the contract?
And sticky little kids do not keep things orderly. As a matter of course, they do not. This was my other favorite thing. Speaking of, how much free time does she have? Because she has the kind of free time that would make me enter intensive therapy.
I didn't know where that was going.
They were straight up asking if there would be money penalties for ending the deal early, and if they could use reputational risk as their reason. And this was not just some random talk, like within an hour the legal and finance teams were pulled in and told to figure out every single way they could get out of it. And insiders said the urgency was unlike anything they'd seen in other talent drama. And a big reason for moving so fast was the timing, because her main show had already bombed, missing all the viewership goals and falling way below both what Netflix expected and what the public thought it would do. Plus, the numbers showed things got worse after the first episode, with people dropping off fast, barely any social media buzz, and no real hype outside of her existing fans.
She's sitting down at a desk and she's making out her menu for the big party that she's going to have. It all feels very Real Housewives. Like the final episode.
Stand by. Actually, we have this, I think. They're saying we have this. So is this Hot 6, you guys? We'll watch it.
Anything that I can do with handwriting, I think, adds a personal touch. Let's write a menu.
For a platform like Netflix that depends so much on shows that keep bringing in new subscribers, Meghan's series was tanking in every single way that mattered. And when you put the leaked video on top of that, it was like the ultimate last straw. Because not only was the show underperforming badly, but now the main face of it was being seen as a total image risk for the company. And one executive even put it bluntly, saying, "It's one thing to have a flop, but it's a whole other level when the flop also damages our brand." So inside Netflix, they didn't just shrug it off. They actually sat down and went through the video moment by moment, pointing out every time Meghan cut off producers' dismissed ideas or showed signs of being difficult. And the more they watched, the more it seemed to confirm what they had already been hearing for months from people on the set.
So when you have unlined paper, you can use a template that can at least keep your lines straight no matter how straight you believe that you write, it's always helpful to have a template.
What?
Use a soft pencil, because you're going to erase those lines, obviously, after you've written everything in. First things first, heirloom tomato quiche.
They noted how she mocked creative ideas and brushed off work together like it wasn't important, and they highlighted that break time moment where the live mic caught her saying, "This isn't their vision, it's mine," and they just have to follow. Plus, they kept replaying the part where she rolled her eyes and mumbled about amateurs on my set, and Netflix's legal team was saying these clips could be seen as proof she didn't meet professional standards, which in some contracts can actually be a reason to end the deal. So the lawyers started going through her agreement line by line.
With fresh basil. I always do those little swirls. I don't know why. In school, I got an A- in penmanship class. But you know what? I was like, I'll take the minus for a little bit of character.
Oh, good God. Keep going.
She got an A- in penmanship.
Looking for absolutely any little loophole or vague wording buried deep in the contract that could give them the power to pull the plug early without handing over a massive payout. And while Netflix's legal squad was locked in a war room full of contracts and highlighters, Meghan's team was in an entirely different kind of battle over at her luxury Montecito estate. The atmosphere was tense, people rushing in and out of rooms, phones ringing nonstop, everyone trying to figure out how to grab control of the story before those clips had a chance to blow up online. Step one was figuring out who had the guts to leak them, and all signs pointed to a certain production subcontractor who had been responsible for archiving all the raw, unedited footage. So Meghan's representatives began making discreet but very serious calls to key contacts, warning in no uncertain terms that if this material was released without authorization, they would respond with immediate aggressive legal action. And the tone was not friendly. But here's where it got even messier. The leak itself wasn't actually the biggest problem because Netflix already had the footage in their own possession, and they didn't need the public to see it for it to cause damage to her career and her deal inside her PR circle. A heated debate broke out over whether they should jump ahead of the story and release a carefully worded statement to the press, claiming the footage had been taken completely out of context during a high-pressure day on set. The idea was that it might soften Netflix's opinion of her and buy some goodwill, but others in the room warned that doing this could easily backfire by confirming the footage existed and making everyone even more curious to see it. In the end, after hearing both sides, Meghan reportedly slammed the brakes on the plan, insisting that she could win Netflix back in private talks, and that involving media at this stage would only make things worse. If you're loving all this juicy behind-the-scenes drama and want the real tea every time it drops, then you gotta stick around with me here on Bella Breaks Down, because trust me, babe, you do not want to miss what's coming next.